Under the cloak of an endless night, the ancient city of Eldrath lay silent, its streets deserted, and its stone buildings veiled in shadows. At the city's heart stood a forgotten cathedral, its spires reaching towards the starless sky like hands pleading for salvation. Inside, the air was thick with anticipation, as members of the clandestine Order of Nocturnal Seraphs gathered around a stone altar, their chants low and haunting. At the center of this assembly, the high priestess, clad in robes adorned with symbols of the cosmos, raised a chalice filled with a potion of nightshade and blood. Her eyes, reflecting a resolve as dark as the void, scanned the congregation. "Tonight," she proclaimed, "we usher in the return of the Seraphs, those ancient beings who once ruled the night sky, our true gods from beyond the stars." Outside the cathedral, the city's inhabitants remained oblivious to the ritual unfolding within. Among them was Theron, a young scholar skeptical of the old legends, who wandered the streets in search of truths hidden in Eldrath's shadows. His curiosity had led him to ancient texts that spoke of the Seraphs not as gods, but as harbingers of doom, entities whose return would spell the end of all things. Meanwhile, the ritual reached its climax. The high priestess poured the potion onto the altar, where it ignited in a flame that burned with an unnatural darkness. Shadows within the cathedral grew denser, twisting and writhing as if alive. A hush fell over the congregation as the air itself seemed to warp and shimmer, a portal to the cosmic abyss slowly opening before them. Theron, drawn by an inexplicable force, arrived at the cathedral's entrance just as the portal stabilized. Inside, he saw the Order, the altar, and beyond it, a glimpse into the unfathomable, a realm of darkness alive with eyes that bore into his soul. The realization hit him with a chilling dread. The legends were true, and he had arrived at the precipice of mankind's undoing. As Theron stood at the threshold of the cathedral, his mind reeled from the sights within. The portal pulsed with a dark energy, its edges undulating like the surface of a disturbed pond. He could feel the cold emanations seeping into his bones, a stark contrast to the warm blood that rushed through his veins in a mix of fear and fascination. Inside, the congregation was in a trance-like state, their eyes fixed on the high priestess, who now recited incantations from a tome as ancient as Eldrath itself. The words seemed to twist the air, resonating with a power that was felt rather than heard. Theron, hiding behind a fallen pillar, watched as spectral figures began to coalesce around the altar, their forms shimmering with starlight but edged with darkness. The high priestess's voice crescendoed, and the air within the cathedral thickened. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the hall as the portal expanded, revealing more clearly the nebulous depths beyond. From these depths, a whispering could be heard, a cacophony of voices that seemed to plead and threaten all at once. Theron, driven by a need to understand and perhaps to prevent a catastrophe, decided to confront the high priestess. He emerged from his hiding spot, stepping into the dim light of the cathedral. "What are you summoning?" he demanded, his voice carrying through the tense air. The high priestess turned, her eyes glowing with an unholy light, and smiled cryptically. "A new era," she replied, her tone both ominous and exultant. The congregation stirred, some glancing nervously at Theron, others with expressions of fanatical devotion. As the whispers from the portal grew louder, a chilling wind swept through the cathedral, carrying with it the scent of distant worlds. Theron braced himself, realizing that the boundaries between what was known and unknown, between Eldrath and the cosmic abyss, were collapsing. Theron's bold confrontation with the high priestess momentarily disrupted the congregation's focus. Whispers and murmurs spread like wildfire as doubt seeded among the believers. The high priestess, however, remained unfazed. Her gaze fixed on Theron, she continued her incantations, the words now sounding more urgent and commanding. As the high priestess's chants intensified, the portal's pulsation grew stronger, its edges flickering erratically. Theron could see shapes, vague, indistinct forms, beginning to emerge from the swirling darkness. Fear gripped his heart, but his resolve hardened. He knew he must find a way to close the portal before whatever lay on the other side could fully enter their world. Rushing forward, Theron attempted to snatch the tome from the altar, believing it to be the key to controlling the portal. The high priestess reacted with surprising agility, intercepting him with a force that belied her age. They struggled briefly, energy crackling around them, a physical manifestation of their clashing wills. In the chaos, the tome fell open on the ground, its pages fluttering wildly as if caught in a storm. The text glowed ominously, casting strange shadows on the cathedral's walls. Suddenly, a powerful gust swept through the cathedral, extinguishing all candles and plunging the room into darkness. Only the portal remained illuminated, now a gaping maw of swirling shadows and shrieking winds. A deafening silence followed the gust. Then, a low growl resonated from within the portal, growing louder and more terrifying by the second. The congregation fell to their knees, some praying, others cowering in fear. Theron, standing alone in the dark, realized that the battle was not just for Eldrath, but possibly for all of humanity. In the overwhelming darkness, Theron's resolve became his beacon. The growls from the portal morphed into discernible speech, a language not spoken by any creature of earth, but somehow understood by all. It spoke of a covenant broken, of retribution, and of worlds devoured by shadows. The High Priestess, her voice now harmonizing with the entities, turned her attention back to the congregation. "The Seraphs demand a tribute," she declared, her gaze sweeping over her followers, who looked back at her with a mixture of fear and adulation. "They offer us a place at their side in the new order, but our loyalty must be proven." Theron, amidst the chaos, felt a pull towards the tome, its pages now still, but glowing with a foreboding light. Remembering the legends of Eldrath, he recalled a counterspell that might close the portal, but it required a sacrifice, a willing soul to guard the gate from the other side. The decision weighed heavily on him, but as the shadows began to seep into the cathedral, corrupting everything they touched into grotesque parodies of their former selves, Theron knew what he had to do. Approaching the altar, he began reciting the counterspell, each word feeling like a chain wrapping around his heart. As the final words left his lips, a brilliant light erupted from the tome, engulfing Theron and the portal. The congregation shielded their eyes, and when they looked again, the darkness had receded. The portal was closed, but of Theron there was no sign. Whispered among the people of Eldrath, the tale of the scholar who sacrificed himself to save their world would become legend. The dawn that broke over Eldrath the next day was unlike any other. The sky, once a perpetual twilight, blazed with colors previously unseen by the inhabitants of the city. The darkness that had clung to the corners and crevices of Eldrath was gone, swept away by Theron's sacrifice. The people emerged from their homes, their eyes wide with wonder and their hearts heavy with the cost of their salvation. In the cathedral, the High Priestess stood alone, staring at the spot where the portal had been. The tome that had unleashed such terror was now but ashes, its knowledge and power consumed by the light. She knew the Seraphs had been silenced, but at what price? The Order of Nocturnal Seraphs was leaderless, its purpose unfulfilled. Word of Theron's heroism spread through Eldrath, his name whispered in reverence and awe. Statues were erected in his honor, and scholars penned tomes detailing his sacrifice and the lore of the Seraphs. Yet no monument could encapsulate the depth of his bravery, nor could any book convey the profound emptiness his absence wrought. As years passed, the night sky of Eldrath transformed. Stars that had been hidden for generations shone brightly, guiding paths and inspiring tales. The Seraphs, once feared as harbingers of doom, became symbols of a night that no longer held dominion over the hearts of Eldrath's people. Instead, they were a reminder of the light that can emerge from darkness. The story of Theron and the night of the Seraph's last calling became a legend, a cautionary tale of power, sacrifice, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. Eldrath flourished, its people no longer living in the shadow of fear, and though Theron was gone, his legacy lived on, a beacon for all who seek to make a difference in the face of insurmountable darkness.